I am currently editing. You guys can see. So yeah, keep showing love and subscribe, lovelies. I'll catch you later. Bye.
A social media influencer and her mother have gone on trial for murder.
And May was like, I'm definitely not doing it. But I made her do it. Exactly.
Just extraordinary, isn't it? It's just every element of that is just horrible.
This story had everything: love, cheating, revenge, money, and ultimately murder.
It's been all over the news. Some of you may know Mahek as maybe vlogs. This is obviously a massive shock.
I think the whole scenario is just wild.
Both of them were known on TikTok, but their story involves more than just dancing.
They showed complete disdain for the lives of their victims.
It's like he doesn't even know that I'm TikTok famous now.
TikTok influencer used her celebrity status to help create a false story in police interviews.
Mahek was more than happy to tell us about her TikTok and Instagram lifestyles. We didn't have to ask her those questions.
I don't know if I should mention this now, but I'm out there on social media. I'm a social media influencer.
Footage of 24-year-old Mahek giving a false version of events after the killing.
I see it's blame. The reason why I haven't reported it and I didn't see or anything is only because there was ambulances straight away already there.
This was a lie.
Where were you? Where was that?
We stayed here and then we went straight to Nottingham.
Right.
That was a complete and utter lie.
Ansrin didn't say anything at all to the officers.
She's trying to act like her daughter. It was really unusual.
They arrived at this point due to a 3-year relationship between 46-year-old Ansrin Bukhari and 21-year-old Saqib Hussain.
My name is Saqib Hussain.
He showered her with gifts. She looked very attractive. This young man became obsessed with her. He was like a love-sick puppy.
Police have discovered that there are other people in Mahek's silver Audi TT. Was Mahek the architect of the plan?
I know my heart's pure. I'll be straight with you. My heart is pure, and my account of what I've said now is completely true.
Not one bit. I was shocked. I was thinking, oh, she's done it again.
Are you responsible for the death of Saqib Hussain and Mohammed?
Yeah. Client is indicating for a break. So.
Absolutely.
Today, I want to talk about a mother and daughter who basically plotted a double murder together. Now, I don't know if they started out in wanting it to be a murder, but it ended up being a murder, and they brought in a whole bunch of people into the whole situation, and the details are kind of insane. Apparently, this was the first mother-daughter murder case where they both committed murder together in Britain, or is it the UK or England, where this case takes place. Is that right? There are 2 victims. One of them's totally innocent. The other one, when they say, the victims don't have to be perfect. Okay, this is a very less than perfect victim. The things that he did were not great. Now, does that mean he should be murdered? Well, legally, no. To understand this case, you need to understand the mom. I'll explain. So let me just start. Okay, so basically the mom, her name is Ansrin, okay? And her daughter, her name is Mahek. They call her May, and some people call Ansrin Ansi. Ansrin was born in Pakistan. When she was a baby, her family moved to the UK, and that's where she lived until she grew up to be about 19, and her parents were very strict. They lived in this area called Stokes-on-Trent. Stokes, we'll call it. When she came home from school, she had to immediately take off her school uniform and put on traditional Pakistani clothes. She wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend like the other kids. Additionally, she wasn't allowed to go to college, and she had a dream. She wanted to be a flight attendant, but her family wouldn't let her do that either. When she was 19, they took her back to Pakistan, where she met her husband, and they got engaged. Then they got married, and she got pregnant and they ended up going to the States. And that's where she gave birth to Mehek, her daughter. Mehek actually has a US citizenship as well, but they didn't stay in the US long. They ended up coming back to the UK, and that's where they ended up settling, that same town where she's from and where she knows everyone. And that's where this case kind of sort of takes place, is around this area. Ansreen and Mehek are super close. Like they're, like when mothers and daughters are close, well, they're very, very close. And her mom is very supportive of her. So when Mehek went to college for fashion and then started doing social media, and her channel kind of blew up during the pandemic in 2020, she wanted to drop out of school and pursue being an influencer full time, and her mom supported her in that.
We are currently in the Blue Mosque. I'm here with my mom. Hi. It's beautiful, to be honest. But yeah. They look expensive, if you know what I mean. So like, to be honest, I definitely recommend it, to be honest. To be honest, I'm really upset, to be honest. So I hope you guys enjoy. And to be honest, like, it was so nice, you know.
I love the food.
Yeah, same. But yeah, to be honest, please like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Not only did she support her in that, but she was with her like in some of the content on TikTok.
Heart mom check.
Mehek would get a lot of like brand deals where she would be paid to go to, a restaurant or a shisha or a hookah place and film herself and promote it, and they would pay her, and her mom would go with her, excuse me, all the time.
They were living the high life. They were literally clubbing 24/7.
Then something happened. And Serene is in London visiting her niece with her daughter Mehek, and they're all together. And then Mehek has this app on her phone. It's called Azar. It's like a video chat app. And so they go on it. Mehek is on this app on her phone. And then there's this guy who shows up, and his name is Saqib. Saqib is going to factor in hugely in the story because he's one of the people that got murdered. They end up like having a chat or whatever together, the three of them with this guy, and then they get off the app and supposedly it's over, except it's not, because Saqib, he ends up finding Mehek's Instagram, and from her Instagram, he finds out her mom's Instagram, and then he slides into the mom's DMs and Serene. Keep in mind, at this time, Ansreen is in her 40s and Saqib is actually 18, but he lies and he says he's 27. So there's like an age gap, but she doesn't realize how big the age gap is. And so he's like, "Do you remember me?" And so she asks her daughter, like, do you know this guy? And her daughter Max like, "Yeah, remember, he's the guy from the chat." Well, they start chatting. Now, keep in mind, Ansreen is married. And she says that she told him that and that he sort of like didn't care, and they started talking as friends. And then he, quote, begged her for his birthday to come see her and meet her at a hotel. Okay, here's where it escalates, because Ansreen goes to meet Saqib. Her daughter is well aware of this and like is there like dropping her off and stuff. She goes to the hotel with this guy on his birthday and they have sex. Basically cheated on her husband. And not only that, but she says that photos were taken and maybe even videos were taken. And she tells Saqib to delete these videos and photos, and he says that he did. Later on, Ansreen would admit that she was like very flattered that this younger guy who she thought was attractive was into her, and she kind of got caught up in the whole thing. But she also says that after this happened, she felt really embarrassed and she's like, "Oh my God, I made a mistake." But yet they kept talking, hanging out, and they met again at another hotel and they also had sex. And then not only that, but then they would like do video chats where she would, take off all her clothes, and he apparently was recording these videos. what ended up happening was that Saqib, he's very like obsessive. So like he would call her like so many times a day, message her a million times a day. And she was married and she kind of was like, what am I getting myself into? And so she decides she wants to end it with him. She's like, listen, I made a huge mistake and it's over. But Saqib, he doesn't take that well at all. He starts to threaten her with basically revenge corn, whatever. He's like, I have your videos. I'm going to post them. I'm going to tell your husband. I'm going to send them to your husband. Like, I'm going to destroy you. You can't leave me. Like, oh my God. And this is really what starts the whole entire thing. While he was doing all this, he was also buying her all these gifts, sending her, say he took her somewhere, they met up in like London or something, he got her an Apple Watch, he would buy her perfume, he would buy her all kinds of stuff, send it to the house, so he had her address and everything, and they were still like hanging out and meeting, and she would still send him like pictures and things because he would use it as blackmail, like send me another picture, I'm going to expose this picture, do the, it was like that. According to her, he like had her in a chokehold and she wanted to get out but she couldn't. This is when the daughter Mehek kind of gets involved because there's this thing that happens towards the end of 2020 in London at this lounge, like a hookah shisha bar lounge thing that Mehek was at doing some kind of like promotion. And as part of the promotion, she was able to get like free, like there was a set budget for the things she could order for her table for free at this place. And she goes over budget, 80 pounds, 80 quid. And what ends up happening is because she's, posting where she is and everything, she says that Saqib shows up. He sees that she's at this place with her mom and he just pulls up with his friends and they start talking and he pays for how much she's over the bill, Mehek's bill, that 80 pounds. Then she said after that, he then offered her to like a sponsorship. Like he was going to give her 500 pounds and she was going to promote his business. So she does the promotion for his business and he gives her the 500 pounds and it seems like everything's cool except it's not, because now he's not only threatening Mehek's mom Ansreen, he now starts threatening Mehek because he's the kind of person where he's like calls a lot, texts a lot, and then if you don't answer, he just starts like threatening you and like being mad. So apparently he's like calling Mehek isn't picking up, and so he starts to Photoshop like fake nudes of Mehek, of like her face on another person's naked body, and he like posts them and then like spreads them, and then she had to like report the account and be like, these are fake, and tell her followers to like report this account. But then he would also admit to her like, that was me, like you're not responding to me when I'm messaging you, like that was me. So this is like his go-to thing apparently. So now it's the end of 2021, which is just a few months before the murder is going to happen. Saqib starts harassing Mehek, the daughter, because he's trying to reach out to her to get her to tell her mom to respond to him. And the mom is like ignoring him because she's just like, she can't take it anymore. At one point, he was calling her like 1,700 times, not including text messages and emails and stuff. Within just like a few months, he was bombarding her and he was sending crazy things and saying, you're pissing me off more and more by ignoring me. I will do something you're going to regret. I'm a crazy bastard. So Mehek talks to her mom about it. That's when her mom confides in her and tells her, listen, this is the situation. Like, he's basically blackmailing me. I want to get out. I don't know what to do. Now it's like affecting Mehek and her career. And so they start plotting, planning, scheming. When Mehek suggests to her mom, like, you should get a restraining order on this guy, like, we have evidence, enough evidence for that. The mom's like, no, because if I get a restraining order, the police are going to get involved, and then your father's going to know that I was having this affair, because they're going to find out that like there's this evidence of the affair. And so they feel like they can't really involve the police. They don't really want to tell anyone. They're trying to figure out how they can just quietly make this go away. Then he actually went through with sending messages to the father online saying that he's having an affair with his wife, but like Mehek would intercept the message and delete it before her dad found it. Now, the thing with Saqib is that he lavishes gifts and spends things, but he's also like kind of cheap because he always brings it up and like wants it back. So, for example, right, he paid for the sponsorship with Mehek, she did it. And then when things got bad between them, he's like, I want my money back. Same thing with the gifts that he got for Ansreen. He actually had notes in his phone where he had kept a log of all the money that he spent on her from dates and gas and shoes and full, like everything, things that he used for them meeting up and gifts that he got her. And in the note, he said that it came up to all about around £3,000. So now he's basically saying, okay, fine, give me the money that I spent on you. I spent all this money on you. Give me £3,000. I'll go away. Like, I won't ruin your life. If you don't give me the money and you don't talk to me, like, I'm going to expose you. I'm going to make you go viral, like your sex tape and all this shit. Here is another weird thing. Now it's January 2022. This is a month before the crash, the murder, the whole thing. Saqib gets into an issue with another woman that accuses him and files a police report, like tells the cops that he is like basically harassing her. She said she met him out one night. She gave him her number and he just like would not stop calling her, like immediately was calling her like 20 plus times a day. And he just met her the day before. And when she's not responding to him, he's saying crazy things like, that he's going to come to her house and smash up her car. And then he told her to watch out, that he didn't see her in the street. Now it's February. February is when the murder happens. The murder is going to take place in the wee hours of February 10th. So on February 8th, so like 2 days before the murder, Saqib sends some texts to Ansreen. Okay, and I'm going to read it to you. He says, can you call me, please, before things really get out of hand? Your daughter's giving my number out to men and they're ringing me up. What he's referring to here is this person who's going to also be involved in the murders, and his name is Rakan. Rakan is Mehek's friend, and she asked him for help because of this harassing thing. She thought maybe if I get a guy to call him and kind of like scare him, he'll leave us alone. So that's what he did. He called and, I don't know, threatened him, something like that. And instead, all it did was make him message her and be like, please, what's going on? Like, now your daughter's having people call me. Well, then that same day, he sends another text. Now he's threatening Ansreen. He goes, I'll tell him and make all your pics and video viral right now. And so after this message, Ansreen then texts Mehek and she's like telling her, like, look, he said right now that like you're having people call him and he's going to make the videos go viral. Like, what do we do? And that's when Mehek responds and she says, quote, I'll soon get him jumped by guys and he won't know what day it is. She tells her mom, leave it to me. You easily get scared. He's trying to scare you. Leave it to me. I'm going to handle it. So now it's February 9th. Okay. And it is the day before the murders. And Mehek is now plotting, planning, and scheming, basically. She's talking to Rakan, and Rakan has a best friend, best mate. His best mate is called Raim, but he's known as Risky. We're going to call him Risky, okay? So Rakan and Risky are friends, and they kind of like do, dodgy things together. And so they're like basically the ringleaders of this plot that they're going to do. Also on February 9th, Saqib starts sending more text messages to Ansreen, and I'll read them to you. It starts in the morning. He goes, why is it taking me so long to realize how precious you are to me? How have I been so stupid, Ansi? After he sends her this text, he calls her 4 times and she doesn't pick up. Now the tone changes. He goes, I'm going to come and see you. Look how many times I've tried emailing and calling. Things are going to get out of hand and you don't want to listen at all. Is this how you treat me after 3 years? One click of my fingers, I could break your marriage and everything. When you don't expect it, it will happen. I have nothing to lose. If you want the whole world to find out, they can. The proof is all there. So now it is the next day. So in the morning, okay, Saqib sends a text. He goes, "Good morning, Ansi. I hope you are good. I need to speak to you. I can't get my head around this. I'm losing my mind and going crazy. Shutting me out is making things worse. We really need to talk before it's too late. My head's all over the place. You're my first love and my whole life's messed up. I was 19 when we started speaking and now I'm going to be 22. You mean the world to me. You can't do this to me." And then he says, "My whole life's effed up right now. You can't imagine. I just want to kill myself. Stop pushing me and forcing me to do something stupid. I can break your marriage and family and everything." And then he goes, "All the money I spent on you, how could you? Or I could message your husband, 'I love you so much, but once I've got my money, I'm gone forever.'" Roller coaster of emotions. So this is when they come up with the plan, because they're like, okay, if we give him the money, right? How do we know for sure he's going to get rid of those pictures and stop, right? They wanted to make sure that they could get the video, the evidence, the shit he was using to blackmail him. They felt like they needed to get his phone. How are they going to do that? Well, they're going to tell him that they're going to give him the money. They're not actually going to give him the money. They're going to tell him, "Hey, but let's meet here." Instead of giving the money, they're going to basically have these guys jump him, take the phone away. They'll have the evidence. He'll not have anything to hold over them again. He'll be scared after that and he'll finally leave them alone. Okay, that's not what happened though. It actually becomes an insane spiral out of control shit that like goes completely out of hand. While they're planning and plotting this, they haven't responded. Like, and Serene has not responded to all those messages just yet. So while they're doing all this, by the time it's 8 p.m., Saqib texts Mehek, the daughter, and he's trying to like get through to Ansarine through Mehek. He says in the text message, "I'm going to message your dad, show him all the proof, the pictures, the messages with her saying I love you, gonna send all the dirty videos and say to him, I want my money." So this is when Mehek responds, "Listen, I'm getting the money, like I'm gonna get the money. Let's meet. I'm gonna give you the money." So now Saqib is like, okay, now we're talking. She's gonna get me the money. So now he needs a ride. He lives in Banbury, okay, which is like an hour or something away. They live in Stokes. There's another place called Leicester. It's spelled kind of, it gives me like Worcestershire sauce vibes, but I googled it and you say Leicester, I think, because I'm definitely not going to keep saying Leicester here. She is saying, "Don't come to the house to meet me where my dad is, okay? Let's meet at a Tesco." Tesco's like grocery store. "Meet me at the Tesco in Leicester." So he's like, okay, well, he needs to get a ride figured out. So he is already acting weird in his family. Okay, by the way, in these days leading up there, like he's not eating, he's not sleeping. His sister, who's close to him, he's not telling her what's going on. She's like, some shit's going on. Then finally, he tells her about this plan to go and get the money. And she's like, "Dude, this sounds like a setup. Like, are you stupid? Like, I feel like they're going to set you up." He doesn't listen. Now he's trying to get a ride. He asks his friends. The first one, literally, his intuition was like, "I feel like this is a setup. No, I'm not going to drive you there." Then he asks the second friend. The friend's like, "I have something early tomorrow morning. I can't do it." Because right now it's like getting late at night. And then he finally asks his friend from nursery school, who he's been super close with his whole life, a guy called Hashim. Now, this guy, totally innocent. He didn't even know about the affair with the married woman or anything like that. Everyone says he's like super nice, super kind. He actually doesn't like driving. And he's the one who was like, "Yeah, I'll give you a ride." Like, from what I've read online and things, it seems like everyone's like, "Dude, this guy's a really nice guy." And like they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Like, damn, because they're both going to end up dead. Now you've got Saqib and Hashim in a car. It's a silver Skoda is what it's referred to. It's like a European British car. I don't know, but it's silver Skoda. And that's the car that they're driving and they're heading over. Meanwhile, you have Mehek. She's in an Audi, but it's a loaner car from the dealership. It's not her car. Why? Because she says that her car, which she puts on social media and it has like custom plates and stuff, it's known to people in the area locally to be her car, and that they're like her haters, they will vandalize her car. And so her car did get vandalized. And so she's got it in the shop getting fixed. And this is the loaner car, which she doesn't know. is that this Audi TT loaner car that she's in has like crazy tracking information on it, where it is basically every 3 seconds reporting the speed and the location of the car. That's going to factor in later. Mehek and her mom are in the Audi, and now they go to Rakan's house. Rakan is like gathering the troops. Okay, you've got his best mate. He goes by Risky. Risky's girlfriend, Natasha. Risky's cousin. His name is Amir Jamal, but they call him AJ. And another guy, a friend called Sanaf. On top of that, there is Mehek and her mom and an 8th person, and this person is Mohammed Patel. Patel walks to Rakan's house, and they're all already there, and they're wearing what's called balaclavas, is what they call them. It's a ski mask, basically. Okay, I keep wanting to say baklava. I'm like, ooh, I want baklava, pistachio balaclava. Keep in mind, Patel, he's going to be the snitch. He says that he gets there and Risky has a balaclava on, and he's got a wheel brace, like a metal wheel brace from the Audi, and he's giving it to Patel for like as a weapon. And he's like, put this in your pants, like, we have a situation. We're just going to talk to these guys. So later on, when he's doing the interview, when he's like telling the cops what happened, they're like, so you thought that you were just going to talk and you're being given like a metal bar and the guy's wearing a ski mask, a balaclava?
You don't go with weapons and balaclavas to meet somebody just to ask them politely to recover a phone.
And he's like, I was high. I smoked 10 quid worth of cannabis. And he's like, I was out of my mind. They put on their balaclavas. They got their weapons sorted. So now they split into 2 cars. There's 8 people, 2 cars. You have the Audi TT. Mehek is there. Her mom is there. Patel is there. Rakan is there. Okay, at first, Mehek is driving. Then you have another car, and that is a blue Seat, which is Natasha's car. At first, she's driving, and her boyfriend Risky is there, his cousin AJ is there, and then the friend Sanaf is there. Now they leave Rakan's house and they start heading to the Tesco where they're going to meet Saqib. Saqib and Hashim, they actually go to the wrong Tesco first. So there's some calls that go on. They realize they're at the wrong Tesco, and they start heading to the correct Tesco, which is in Hamilton, Leicester. There is CCTV footage, basically, of what happens when Saqib arrives at the correct Tesco and sees that there are a bunch of people, way more than he expected, because he just thought he was meeting Mehek and her mom, and they're just dudes with the balaclavas on, and he's like, what the fuck is this? So basically, you see the car coming in, Hashim is driving, right, and he just like stops for a second. You see the other 2 cars, they're like, what the fuck is this, probably, and then they drive off. They don't even get out of the car. Now, the 2 cars, the Audi and the blue Seat, they're being driven by different people now. The drivers swapped. Rakan is driving Mehek's Audi now, and Risky, Natasha's boyfriend, is driving her car now and starts leaving. You can see the blue car like leaving behind it and pulls up behind it as they're leaving. After that, you see in another CCTV camera that the 2 cars now, the Seat and the Audi, they've got the silver Skoda blocked. Like they're literally one in front, one behind. They keep hitting their brakes, and they're like, they won't let the car move. Like if it's trying to go to this side, they move to block it, and back and forth, back and forth. And not only that, but there's like a fuck ton of phone calls that are going on in between a bunch of people in the cars. Okay. Mehek calls Saqib, okay, and she's like, listen, we just want to talk. We just want to talk, baby. It's good. Just pull over. She's like, there's a Sainsbury, that's another grocery store. Pull over here. There's a, another Tesco. Like, pull over here. And they're like, no, man, why have you got all these blokes with balaclavas on? It's bloody wanker. And then she's like, mate, we just want to talk. And that was really bad. We just want to talk. Then on top of that, you're also getting calls from Rakan, who is behind the silver Skoda driving the Audi, calling Sakib, who's in the silver car, and there's calls going between them too, where he's like, just pull over, we just want to talk. So the whole shit is like super chaotic. Then you start to see the speeds are actually increasing to crazy levels. They're going to 89 or 97 miles per hour. They get to the point where they're actually hitting 100 miles per hour. Like the silver car is trying to get away, but they can't, and these cars won't let them go. While that's happening, there's also calls between the two drivers that are blocking them in, Rakan and Risky. They're calling each other and like coordinating as they're doing the blocking. According to Patel, right, he is holding the phone for Rakan while Rakan's driving, right? He's holding the phone so he can hear what's happening in the call, right? Rakan is on the phone with Risky. Risky says, I'm going to try to stop this guy. I might have to ram him. And that Rakan responds and says, oh, fuck it, ram him. And so that's when the blue Seat with Risky driving starts ramming the silver Skoda with Sakib inside and Hashim driving. Keep in mind that throughout all of this thing, the conversation that's going on between Mahek and Sakib is escalating. Like she's asking him to pull over. He won't pull over. Then he starts telling her, like, let me talk to your mom. I want to talk to your mom. Let me just talk to your mom. And I'm sending the pictures now. I'm going to send them right now. I'm sending them to the dad now. And they're yelling and they're like calling each other names. And then he hangs up the phone and he starts blowing up Ansreen's phone. Like within that short period of time, he called her 19 times. She didn't respond. But then a few minutes later, and Serene calls Sakib's phone. It's a 3-minute call, and it happens around the time that Risky starts ramming Sakib. Right after that phone call ends, 3 minutes from like 1:24 to 1:27 a.m. Right after that, Sakib calls 999, which is like 911 in the UK. This is a 5-minute phone call that is really upsetting. Sakib and Hashim's family, they requested that the 999 call not be made public. But I was able to find quotes from the call from reporters who were in the courtroom, reporting. So it says here the call lasts 5 minutes. Basically, Sakib says to the operator, like, I'm in a car, it's being blocked in, and I'm being followed by 2 cars, and they've got balaclavas on. He says, they're trying to ram me off the road. They're trying to kill me. I'm going to die. Please, sir, I need help. Then at one point during the 911 call, you can hear Sakib telling Hashim, send it when they're at a red light, like basically to run the light. And they do drive. And then apparently the other 2 cars that were following them also ran the red light following them. And so that's when Sakib gets more desperate. He's like, they just hit the back of a car very fast. Please, I'm begging you, I'm going to die. Then they say Sakib screams, oh my God, no. And there's what's described as a low crunching sound that happens. And then all of a sudden the call goes dead and that's it. So according to Patel, right, you've got the silver car with Sakib and Hashim in it. Then you got the blue Seat that Risky's driving. He said that he rammed him a few times. And then when he rammed him the 3rd time, the car went sideways. So he said that the blue car was basically pushing it like this down the freeway, or they call it a dual carriageway. Now, while this is happening and they're being dragged across, he said the silver car, the Skoda, it's trying to get out of this situation. So the wheels are turning right, left, right, left. So while this is happening, he says that the blue car gives it one big violent hit, caused the car to fly, flip on its back, and then it smashes into a tree and the car gets split in 2. And then it bursts into flames. According to Patel, while the blue car was ramming the silver car and they were like watching in the Audi, he said that Mahek and her mom were quiet. They weren't saying anything. Then the freaking crash happens. And then he says that they drive up a little bit and then they decide to pull over. Then there's CCTV showing that like someone gets out of the blue car and kind of looks to see if there's damage to the car, like what the damage looks like. And then that's when they switch drivers again. So now Mahek is driving her car again and Natasha's driving her car again. And they end up driving back towards the crash. And they look and they see that it's in flames. At this point, Patel says that Ansreen is crying and her daughter Mahek is trying to comfort her. They then decide to drive to Leicester. Keep in mind, they have no idea that Saqib called 999. Meanwhile, this car is like on fire. They didn't call 999, right? Patel said he wanted to, but others told him not to, and he was afraid, and they all turned off their phones. And so this passerby stops and calls, and when the police and the firemen show up, they are like they don't think anyone's in the car. It wasn't until they put the fire out that they noticed that there were two bodies there. And then later on, the autopsy would reveal that they didn't have any signs of smoke inhalation. So it appears like they died on impact, like before the fire started. And their bodies were so badly damaged and burnt that they needed dental records to identify them. Immediately, the investigation starts because you already had that 999 call, which the operator sent to police as soon as the call ended and that crunching sound was heard. Now you've got this car's on fire. You know that these people are dead. And so police use this system. It's called the ANPR system, which means automatic number plate recognition system. It's basically these like hidden cameras that are around that can detect, the license plate number and track vehicles like that. And also remember the Audi, right? The Audi had this tracker that was like giving location and speed like every 3 seconds. So they're like, okay, we know the two vehicles that are involved because they got that information from the call. Then they checked the CCTV cameras where the crash was, like on that freeway, and they found the car's description. And so now they're like putting in the information, trying to get the access to trace these cars. While that's happening, now it's 2 a.m., right? 30 minutes after the crash, and the group of 8, they've now gotten to, they're at Leicester. They go to this cul-de-sac, this quiet little cul-de-sac. So then at 2 a.m., Patel leaves the group and he starts walking home. But before he does, he said he wiped his prints off the wheel brace, put it back in the Audi, like the weapon that he had, and he heads home. About 15 minutes later, AJ, he also heads home, like splits from the group, walks towards his house. And then same thing with Rakan, he walks away from the group, but then at 3 a.m., he's back with the group. So they don't know where he went for like 45 minutes. So now there is 6 of them, and they walk back to where the cars were parked, and they stay there for another 20 minutes. After that, they get in the cars that they were in, and the cars go in separate directions. So Natasha's driving the blue car, and so she drops off Sanaf, and then she drops off her boyfriend Risky, and then she starts to head home. Mahek, she drops Rakan off at his home. Her and her mom start heading back to her home. Now, what ends up happening with Natasha is that Natasha doesn't make it home. No, she doesn't. Why? Because, well, her vehicle, it's all up in the system. Okay. They put it in that ANS system camera, and Natasha drives by one of those cameras, and there's an alert for her car. Police get notified. And that's when 2 police cars spot her in her car pulling into a gas station at 4:20 in the morning. And so they then block her in. So like one cop car comes behind her while she's at the gas station, another one in front of her, and she is blocked in. This is when she calls her boyfriend Risky, and we don't know what is said, but a call is made, and then the call ends, and then Risky then calls Sanaf, who was in the car with them just earlier, and he also calls Rakan. Again, we don't know what's said, but those calls are made. Meanwhile, the cops tell Natasha, you're under arrest for murder. They take her in. Now she's a law student, and so she doesn't talk to police. They tried to talk to her several times. She won't talk. Then later on, she releases a statement through her attorney where she says, quote, I can confirm I did not commit these offenses. I was not the driver of either vehicle involved in the incident. It is now 8 a.m. and cops are outside of Mehek's home. When the cop shows up, he notices that that car, the Audi, is in the driveway, and he's like, "Oh, this was the car involved as well." So he knocks on the door. Mehek is sleeping at this point, and so is her mom. They got home at like 4 something in the morning. It's now 8, so they're still asleep. The dad answers. When the dad answers, the cop tells him, "Who is driving this car?" And the Audi in the driveway. And the dad says, well, my wife and daughter, they were in this car last night and they took it out. They went somewhere. The cops are talking to Mehek's brother now. And that's when Mehek wakes up. She hears that there's cops there and they're like questioning her brother. She looks at her phone and she realizes she has a bunch of missed calls from Risky. So she's like, picks up, calls Risky. They talk for 14 minutes while the cops are questioning her brother. And basically, apparently come up with a story. And while she's talking to Risky, she's also texting her mom, who's in the other room, telling her mom like what the story should be. And basically the story is that they were alone in the car, the mom and the daughter, last night, and they didn't go anywhere to Leicester or any of that stuff. They went to Nottingham.
Where were you? Where was that?
So we stayed here, and then we went straight to Nottingham.
In the Audi.
Yes, Audi. Yeah.
The cops are like, okay, cool, yeah, we're still going to arrest you, and we want your phones and your passwords to the phone, the PIN code. And so Mehek, she gives them the wrong one to where like it locks up the phone and does this factory reset thing. She said she panicked and she forgot her code, but it seems like she kind of did that on purpose. But the cloud, the cops were still able to get a lot of information that was not good for Mehek. So the mom and daughter are then taken to the station for questioning. Now, and Serene, the mom, she's like, no comment, no comment, no comment. She didn't say anything. And they have their lawyers with them, both of them, and the mom just won't talk. Mehek, she's the smartest one in the room. So she's talking.
There's a car that's coming on the right-hand side, a Seat Leon, don't know the model or anything, but it was blue, comes straight down, no speed, nothing, normal, on the right-hand side. We were always on the left-hand side. This right-hand side car's come now, the Leon, the blue one, has come straight next to me and come right in front of me, not very close. I've always said to myself, I'm a very good driver when it comes to this. I've been driving for 5 years, 45 years. And I said to myself, always keep a 2 to 3 second rule gap, always, when I've said to myself. The silver car, I don't know which brand it was, model, it's come zooming down. I've kept this 2 to 3 second rule gap. And the blue Leon's in front, I'm at the back. This silver car's come and cut into the middle. So we're basically all 3 cars very close. I braked and I said to my mom, what is this car trying to do? So then the blue car went on to the left and the silver car kept to the left. And it was just harassing. Like the blue car was trying to let you go. Like, go. You can go now because I'm letting you go. But this silver car was not letting the blue car go. All I hear is like a you can hear like a bang, but not a big bang. It was like you hit behind me, basically. The silver car hit the blue car. So I looked at my mom and I goes, Mom, what is going on? What is wrong with, are they, I don't know if they're drunk, what are they trying to do to this blue car in general? The silver car hit the back of the blue car. The blue car, see it, like Leon's gone, completely gone. As soon as I've turned around, the silver car's gone. And I didn't see the car after that. I didn't hear a bang. Apparently there was mentioned there was a tree. I didn't see no tree. I didn't see anything. I've gone straight on. I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, what? I was just in shock.
Silver Skoda has been driven off the road, causing the death of 2 people.
I know my heart's pure. I'll be straight with you. My heart is pure, and my account of what I've said now is completely true.
You and the blue car are working in tandem to slow that car down.
Listen.
No?
I have no relation to that blue car.
Yeah. Lights is indicating for a break.
Like, absolutely.
So all in all, she was interviewed 9 times. over a course of several days. And the first 6 times she was talking and explaining things away or trying to. The last 3 times she said no comment and then she stopped talking. So this all happened the morning like after the crash. Later that evening, the guys that they now know that the girls got arrested, the guys, they end up taking their phones to like a phone shop and selling their phones. But the gag is, okay, they bought new phones the day before the crash happened. Now remember, they're all claiming that they were just there and they don't really know and blah blah blah. But it's like, why did you buy new phones before this happened and then now you're selling your phones? It feels premeditated. All of them would end up getting arrested. The sixth person who got arrested was Mohammed Patel. Okay. And he, remember, is the snitch. And they say snitches get stitches. I don't think so. Snitches, they don't get to be prison bitches because he was the only one that got off completely scot-free. Like, the only one. Because why? He spoke. He was like, I'm going to tell you everything. So all of them, they pled not guilty. And so the case was going to go to trial. Now, there was a trial that happened at first, and it was almost coming to an end, December 2022, when the judge had to dismiss the jury because this is what the quote said. It's the judge is called Judge Timothy Spencer, and it says here, Spencer dismissed the jury, saying that some of them, quote, appear to have engaged in wild speculation about sinister, non-disclosed connections between the defendants, with one juror suggesting the defendants were all committing incest. The suggestions were pure prejudice based on what I can only regard as racist assumptions about those of Asian heritage. So they ended up having to get a second jury and a second trial, and then that happened in 2023. And then I found this random factoid. I don't know why it made me laugh, but in the UK, the judge, the barristers, the lawyers, they don't call them the barristers, they wear wigs still, till this day. They wear those wigs. And I found this quote that says, hot courtroom. It says, barristers in court have been given the go-ahead to remove their wigs due to the hot temperatures in court. I was like, oh, the wig. Had to take their wigs off because it was hot. Sorry, I know this is serious, but I could not read that and not include it in here. Come on. You need a little, what do you call that? Comic relief. The testimony that was most, people wanted to hear the most, should I say, was the mom's testimony and Serene. Why? Because really the case is all about her, number one. Number two, she didn't speak. Like at this point, we've heard what Mahek had to say and it's all over the news and shit. And her body cam and her interviews and all this, but the mom never spoke. And so it's like, what is she gonna say? Well, she was asked many times about like, what was this texting about jumping? Were you going to attack them and do this? And she's like, no, I just didn't think, I thought we were just going to talk and like give him the money and like get the pictures. And then when she was asked about the affair and why she did it, she was like, oh, like I had this relationship that I was very sort of traditional and it was exciting and flattering, but I immediately regretted it. I was very embarrassed. This could ruin everything, like in our culture and our community. It's very shameful and this and that and the other. She was just like the whole time in the car, she was shaking and freaking out and she didn't know all that was going to happen. She didn't even know these people. She only knew Mahek, like she didn't understand. And then they asked her, like, would you lie for your daughter? And then she was like, yes. And then they're like, would you say that you're a good lawyer now that we've just went through the entire affair and how you had like hid it from your husband for 3 years? And she's like, I guess so. And they're like, okay. And would you say that your daughter lies and lied to us? And they're like, yes. So they're like, okay, so like you're a liar, she's a liar, you would lie for her, she lied for you, like I rest my case. That's not exactly what happened, but that was like the point they were driving home, is that you can't really trust these people and what they're saying. Because later on when they would ask them like, what did you say here? What did you do here? They're always like, we didn't talk, we were just quiet. We didn't do anything. I don't remember. What? I can't, excuse me? It was like very much like that. Then they read a statement from her husband, okay? Because when they asked her about her husband, she said that her husband didn't come to see her for like 10 months when she was in jail, and that he only recently came to see her. And then he released a statement, and this is the statement. It said that he didn't know about the affair that his wife was having, or that she was in a relationship with anyone else. He said that someone with the name Saqib had sent him a comment on social media telling him his wife was having an affair. He said, I do recall that about 4 or 5 months ago, I received a message on my TikTok account. Someone put a comment that said something about my wife having an affair. I never told my wife about it. I assumed it was just nonsense. I think Saqib was the name or part of the name of the account. He said he noticed the user Saqib had no followers, which made him conclude that it was a fake account. Mahek's time to testify, and it was much of the same thing. She tried to tell the same story. I didn't know. I didn't understand. He was harassing. He was bullying. Like, I didn't tell anyone to do anything. Like, I don't know. It was like that whole rigmarole. And she was like, I felt so bad. And then they're like, what about the fact that they were wearing balaclavas? Like, you didn't think anything. She was like, it wasn't a balaclava. It was a scarf. It was, I didn't see balaclavas. They're like, what do you mean? They're like on camera. You guys are walking together with the balaclavas. And they're like, I guess I forgot. I don't know. And it was basically, it was like that. And then they said that like she was hella disrespectful. She was laughing because they had what they call the doc, where they put the defendants. No, is that called the doc? I don't freaking know, but they're all together, the defendants. Like she was laughing and joking with her co-defendants while they were sat at the dock and smiling at the reporters outside.
This sheer arrogance, how they presented themselves in the dock was shocking. It really was.
The family of the victims, they were obviously pissed, right? So they had time to give their statements. And Hashim, he was totally innocent, right? He didn't have anything to do with anything other than giving his friend a ride. And his family was like fucking pissed. So they turn around, they're looking at Mahek and all of them, and the father says, Hashim was innocent, totally innocent, 100% innocent. He goes, was it worth it? You ruined your own lives and you ruined our lives and you took their lives. Was it worth it? Well, after that, it was now time for the jury to deliberate. It took them like 28 hours over 5 days, and guilty, 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 guilty. Mahek was playing Monopoly and Uno, like in the courtroom, waiting for the jury. Then when the verdict came in, they said she cried like a bitch. She was sobbing. She went from laughing to sobbing, okay? It was like someone gave her like 2 + 4s in the Uno game and she just lost it. It's happened to me before. It's very upsetting. I want to tell you what they got, like the sentences. So Mahek got a life sentence. She had to do a minimum of 31 years and 8 months. And Sreen got life as well. She has to do a minimum of 26 years and 9 months.
Mahek and Ansareen Bakari will be the only mother and daughter double murderers in Britain.
The 2 drivers, Rakan and Risky, they got not just a murder charge, but also they got an additional charge of causing death by dangerous driving. They also got life. The Risky dude is already in there for a R-word charge. And then Natasha, she got 11 years, 8 months. AJ got 14 years. Sanaf got 14 years. And like I said, Patel got 0 time. Actually, Natasha and Mahek for sure are going to appeal. And then they're saying that maybe others will too. So we'll see what happens with that. But as it stands now, they're all in prison. And we'll see what happens. So that is the story of the Mommy and Me TikTok murderesses and what they did. And I would like to know your opinion on one thing, which is, what do you think of Saqib? Like revenge porn, it's a crime. They don't kill you for that. Go to jail, right? But they didn't want to report it. So this is what they end up doing. Also, I don't know. For me, I don't think they were actually trying to kill him. I really don't. I actually think this kind of went out of control. I think they really wanted to get the phone. They just wanted to get the phone. Problem is, okay, he didn't get out of the car. So even when they're following him, they're trying to get him to stop and pull over and talk to him to get the phone. This is what it's all about. The ramming thing and the speed and them flying and all that, that was like, obviously at that point they should have known they could kill him and they still chose to continue. That's where I think it changes. But I don't believe that the original intent, even with them selling their phones and stuff, I think they were just trying to hide the evidence that they jumped him, that they robbed him. You know what I mean? Like they were going to do something illegal, but I don't think they were going to kill him. Then after the fact, it's like, holy shit, what have we done? But I don't know. I think it's really creepy, you know, how many people got involved with that shit. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I'd love to know yours. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.